Therefore the Lord God sent him forth from the Garden of Eden. He drove out the man, and he placed at the east of the Garden of Eden cherubim, and a flaming sword which turned every way to keep the way of the tree of life. The Conclave Bible, Data Links.
Earth 2060. A small group of colonists leaves the ravages of Earth for a distant planet orbiting Alpha Centauri's primary star. Their ship, the United Nations starship Unity, carries them on their journey to a new world and a new hope for humankind. Along the way, a reactor malfunction damages the Unity, precipitating a crisis among the ship's 7 most powerful leaders. As they enter the Alpha Centauri system, the crew splits into 7 distinct factions, divided not by nationality, but by ideology and their vision for the new world. After the ship breaks apart, the 7 leaders guide their chosen crew down to the surface of planet, seeking their destiny beneath an alien sky.
Welcome everyone to Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri, a Brian Reynolds design. Whatever that means. Probably means he designed it. Anyways, this is Alpha Centauri, the famous 4X game developed back in 1999. There was an expansion pack called Alien Crossfire. I'll talk more about that one later. This has been an old family game of, well, in my family, hence the term family game. I really need to come up with a better word for that. And I thought I'd do a Let's Play of it, even though it's not Minecraft. Oh god, not Minecraft. What are you doing? Crazy. I know, right? So, anyways, basically this is, well, if you've ever played Civilization, it's very much like that, only instead of building a civilization from the ground up, Stone Age, you're going to build it from, well, futuristic Space Age on Alpha Centauri, which is the closest star to the Sun. We have Alpha Centauri A and B, and here's the rest of the Big Dipper, because, you know, that's fun and all that. I don't know where the Sun is in this picture, but this planet is called Planet, or Chiron, and it may or may not exist. We don't know. We can't actually see planets at the moment. But regardless, let's look at this. This is the main menu you see after the opening credits. Credits, video, intro, video. You just saw that anyways. So we can leave. We can look at the credits. We can load games. We can do a scenario, a quick start. There's a multiplayer option and start game. Now the multiplayer option contains various direct plays with other people, whether you're just going to use serial modem or internet connection. In the Alien Crossfire expansion pack, there's also a hot seat option, so you can have multiple people in the same house, which does make it really nice for, you know, big family game night type of thing. I don't have anyone to play with though, so we're going to move on from that. Loading, you can load at any particular time. This was a test run that I did, so ignore that. But you can see there are autosaves right here. That can be handy if you are a type of person who likes to go back and redo things from one turn ago. There's a scenario function, including scenarios that you can play. Not very many of them. Again, the expansion pack includes more. But really, it's designed for you to build your own. If you look back here, you can create your own scenario, load up someone else's, or edit. So that's something. You can press escape in these menus to go back. So we can hit escape and go back. That's kind of nice. I'm not going to do the scenarios here. They're short. They're not too exciting. Quick Start starts you off right away with the first faction on the list, which is Deirdre, the tree-hugging, planet-loving people. And I say that it probably sounds like I don't like them. They're okay. They're not the worst, but they're not the greatest either. You have no control over any customization with this, so I don't recommend you're going to do this unless you want to just be like, I need to play a game right now, quick start, let's go. So we can start. How do we start? Well, we have to start by making the world. Like any good game would, you have to create the world, right? Kind of weird. You can make a completely random map. Wow, that was terrible. You can make a completely random map. You can customize your random map, which is the option I always take. You can use the official map or the large version of the official map, which is what I would recommend if you're going to use the official map. It has some interesting features, so you can get used to the geography, I suppose, but I prefer to make my own. Or if you found a good map somewhere else, you can just load that. We're going to customize a random map so I can show you all the options available, and good makes good Let's Plays, and it makes a good thing for me. So, selecting the size of the planet. We have tiny, small, standard, large, and huge, which represent sizes of the map. Really, I don't remember the numbers. I think it's like 256 by 128 or something for huge. Maybe it's probably bigger. It's big. They're all powers of 2 anyways. Tiny planets, the factions are all really close together. Huge planets, they're very far apart. Standard is, I guess, Earth size-ish. The gravity isn't affected by any of them, so the only thing that it affects is how long it takes before you run into someone. I believe the official map of planet is either small or standard, and the quick start starts you out like a tiny or small, because every time I've hit the quick start button when testing the video settings, I kept getting tiny. So I'm going to go ahead and click huge planet. It's great for exploration. Gives us a nice long game. Next, we get ocean coverage. We have Earth-like here at 50 to 70%. This one gives us mostly continents with a couple large lakes, maybe an ocean, but most likely you could travel all the way around the world on land. I don't like this option so much because it reduces reliance on sea power. And on the other hand, we have 70 to 90% ocean, which makes you have a world of Australias and Indonesias. You're on archipelagos, there might be one large continent, but more likely you're on a series of small islands. This is much more challenging, and I'm not going to pick it because that makes the sea reliance a lot, there's a lot more boat reliance in this one. We're going to go with the Earth-like, good mix of continents and oceans and lakes here at 50 to 70%. Erosive forces, which have to do with number of moons in the sky, apparently. I don't know if there's any scientific basis behind that. There could be in terms of tidal forces, but at that point things also get really complicated. If you have 3 moons in the sky and they're all in different places, point being that... Anyways, these affect how rocky your world is, and more rockiness means more minerals, so I generally pick weak erosive forces. Gives me a bit more mountains, a bit more rockiness. I sacrifice some mobility, but that's what I prefer. Also, there's only 1 moon in the sky as opposed to 3, which would be weird. Next, we have native life forms, rare, average, abundant. And if you look at this area of the screen here, or up top, you'll see what changes. There's like a little red tint. And that's pretty much it. The red stuff there is xenofungus, or strange fungus. So you can pick rare, average, or abundant. The abundant is much harder because essentially planet hates you and is trying to kill you at all times. So the more of planet there is, the more it kills you. And average, the less planet there is, You will also, however, get a score boost for abundant because it's harder and a score penalty for rare. I will take average, thank you. Cloud cover affects nutrients. As far as I can tell, it does not affect energy production, even though it should. Sparse is fewer nutrients, and of course dense should be more. Finally, we get to difficulty level, which is just like it was in Civilization, only the names are a little different. These are the easy 3 classes, and these are the harder 3. Going all the way up to Transcend, which is, someone who's gone beyond and transcended humanity, and they can recite all the digits of pi and all that because they're transcendent. Get it? Get it? I usually pick Talent or Librarian. There's a tiny difference in the gameplay mechanics, of course, but the biggest difference that I've seen is that With these 3, you have 400 turns of gameplay, and with the second 3, you only have 300 turns of gameplay. So it's much harder to actually get done. Well, it's not harder, but it's, well, it is harder. It's harder, and there's a more pressure to get it done faster. Whereas here, you're a little bit more relaxed. I'm going to pick talent because it's pretty good for just general stuff. For a good let's play, a quick, nice, hey, it's a let's play, yay! I go with talent. Game rules. You can go with the standard runs, but those are boring. The current ones are ones I already like, so let's look at the customizing ones. This is what is set up currently. Now, the standard rules are this. These are standard rules. So you've got your 4 victory conditions, science, and military, and, being ruler of the world and doing something. I hate economics. There have been times when I've just disallowed it, but I'm allowing it for now. It has something to do with, like, owning everything. This is for multiplayer. If somebody wins, your buddy can win as well. I always like to click this one, do or die, don't restart eliminated players. I don't want them to come back to life. It's very important that you have the ability to choose where you start. If you happen to start in a sucky place, that could really hinder you. If you happen to start in a great place, that would be awesome. But, you definitely want to be able to look first. I don't know anyone who's picked tech stagnation except for challenge. Spoils of War is great. I'm not going to put it on. It is a faction ability of the faction I have, which sometimes or sometimes does not work. But I'm not going to leave it on. It is fun, but I don't know. I'm just not going to leave it on. I'm going to keep it off. Blind research, however, I am going to take off because I think the idea of being able to set precise research goals makes perfect sense, and doing research blind is just stupid, and that's not how research is done. It's a challenge thing, again. Intense Rivalry, I have no need to make opponents more aggressive, though if you want the challenge, you can go for a Transcend with Intense Rivalry and a Tiny World. Good luck. World map not visible. I consider this one to be vital. Just like this one needs to be on at all times because it's no fun exploring the world if you can already see the world. This way, you're like, ooh, I wonder how big is this ocean and where am I going? And it's just more fun that way. Supply pods only at landing sites. That's boring because then there's less incentive to explore. No random events. Obviously, we need more random events. Keep some spice in there, right? Yeah. Time warp, accelerated start. Do you want to start and build and have full control over your thing, or do you just want it that either you just don't care or you want the challenge of starting 50 years in? Iron Man, save and restore, restricted to exit. This is for the people who go, well, like my dad, they go, ooh, look, a random treasure chest. I think I will save before I open it to find out what's inside, and if I don't like it, I will try again. Finally, we get to these two. The first one, randomizing leader personalities. This essentially makes the people who were going to be like, I hate everyone, are, they're more chill or something. And this one, sorry, right here. This one is the big one. If you're a veteran of the series and you're looking for a little bit of spice, you probably want to click this one. Not that it changes the actual mechanics, but it does change some of the flavor of the game because all of a sudden the peaceful Commissioner Previn Lau is now the depraved, religious, loving Miriam type character. You'll see what I mean in a moment. Now, if you have the Alien Crossfire expansion, and it's a good one to get, if you've got that expansion, then this is unnecessary, because in addition to the original 7 factions, which aren't here, I'm just doing a visual, in addition to the original 7 factions, you get an additional 7 factions, and you can choose between the original or the new ones, and you can mix and match, so that they get all mixed and matched up, or you could just randomize and get a completely weird thing. So this isn't really necessary in that expansion. It is here if you like it. At any rate, these are the rules I'm using. All victory conditions allowed. No eliminated players may come back, including me. Flexible starting locations and world map not visible. Let's get looking at this. Here we have the faction choosing screen. We start with the Deirdre. This is Gaia's stepdaughters. They're the planet people. They're the environmentalists. Next is the atrocity committing super ultra dystopian future where free will and free thought is eliminated, individuality is suppressed, and you literally exist as part of a hive of people under control of this one guy. It's kind of weird. University of Planet is a very popular one for people to play because it's, hey, science, university, woo! And a lot of people who play this tend to like that sort of thing. Obviously, he's good at science. Morgan Industries. I really love this guy's name, Nwabudike Morgan. He's the American. Well, he's not the American. I don't know. He's like the American style corporate guy, economic powerhouse. He essentially hates Planet just as much as this lady loves Planet. So naturally, Planet hates him and tries to kill him. He can respond successfully because he's very rich. We get to the Spartans. This is my faction. I love these guys. The Spartans are all like, Sparta! So you can guess, military. That's that. Lord's Believers. This is the stupidest. I hate her so much. This is Sister Miriam Godwinson of the Lord's Believers. Blah, blah, blah. Sometimes just called the Believers. And it's just really, really obnoxious. I don't like them at all. They tend to be very aggressive. They've got great infantry, so if you want to play with Miriam, be prepared for war and combat, and they suck at science, so you're not getting Transcendence victory easily. Finally, we get the peacekeeping forces. This is the extension of the UN. This guy's like, come on guys, let's all work and get along together and everything, and he's very groovy. My dad likes him a lot. I'm not so big deal because I'm not a diplomat. I'm sorry. But I do love this quote. This is an amazing quote. So you should like pause the video and then read it and like post it to Facebook and Tumblr and Reddit and everything. It's just really cool. But I'm going to go with the Spartans. I am going to show you the custom name, but first she's going to say something. So here, listen to the voice acting.
Superior training and superior weaponry have, when taken together, a geometric effect on overall military strength. Well-trained, well-equipped troops can stand up to many more times their lesser brethren than linear arithmetic would seem to indicate. Spartan Battle Manual.
So this is Colonel Corazon Santiago. And she'll say this again. You'll probably hear this another time. You'll hear everyone's opening blurbs, so I'm not going to go through and play them all now, but you'll hear them as we do research and stuff. This is where you can customize your faction, so if you don't like being called female, you can change that. If you would rather be the aggressive instead of the vigilant, if you want to be the Athenians instead of the Spartans, go ahead. If you would like to be the Lord President of Gallifrey, right here is the box for you, sir. However, this only affects the diplomacy screens. It only affects the flavor text. It doesn't even affect any of this. Like this, you can change this and it'll still say Spartan Battle Manual. It won't say, Lord President Gallifrey, Corazon Santiago. None of that. The voice acting will still be the same, and the picture will not change either. However, if you have Alien Crossfire, you have access to the entire full faction editor, where you can select your own pictures, design your own bases, select all this stuff, design your faction's mechanics, diplomacy, everything. And that is a lot more fun for most people. So if you've got Alien Crossfire, and you should, it's like $5, I think. You can find it on the internet somewhere. It's published by like a shareware republishing company now. Firaxis is no longer publishing it. So it's pretty good. I'm not going to mess with any of this though. Let's just get started. So, yay! We can, you can read that. Pause the video there, read that. Basically it's saying, yes, we get to go. And here's a pep talk. Shape the destiny of your people. Huzzah! Oh, this is different. In my test worlds, I kept starting by an ocean. So this is why the flexible starting location is important. This is my colony pod. My colony pod is important because that's where my base will be built. Well, I mean, that's what builds bases. This is the map, obviously. We can see here that we seem to be, well, we can't really see the terrain very well, but we can see that there's a less dry stuff, less rain over here. It's not as green. These are more fertile areas. This is kind of dry. There are some rocky areas, lots of minerals in this area. This stuff is fungus. It's very hard to move in and out of. It's not the best thing to build bases nearby because monsters can spawn in there, the mind worms. These things are little supply pods. When your ship, the Unity, arrived at Alpha Centauri, there was a reactor malfunction, the captain was assassinated, you saw all this, and in the opening movie you saw 8 pods launch. Well, there's only 7 factions. What happened to that 8th pod? The answer is it exploded and landed here on the surface all over the place. They can contain all sorts of random events. They are treasure chests. Sometimes they contain money, sometimes research, sometimes resources. There are some that contain monsters. There's even one that will transport you across the world or cause an earthquake. Very weird. So, other things to note. This is an informational screen. It will cycle through different types of information, but we only have one type right now. You can pause the cycling by moving your mouse over it. However, for now, it's just going to do the same thing until we discover more people. We have a map over here. We can look at a local view, but there's nothing there. We can see the year. It's our first turn. The year starts at 2100 and then moves on, so this is turn 1. And we have 10 units of energy. Woohoo! We have 3 units down here. These are our people. We can select them with the mouse. That's a scout rover. He can move a bit more. The numbers indicate attack, defense, and movement. So our colony pods can attack. They're all 3 equally good at defending, but the scout rover has a little bit of attack and a bit of extra movement. Right here we see information about the square we're on because it might be hard to see since we're, on it. It is rolling, so that's medium rockiness as opposed to this place, which is like flat. And it is arid. If you want to check out information on other squares, you can right-click and hit the move cursor to right, and move cursor to here, shift right. This deactivates the units and allows you to move stuff around regularly. Now to do this, you use the numpad. You have to take numlock off, but you can use the numpad. So 9, 1, 7, 3, 6, 8, 4, 2, and of course 5 doesn't do anything movement-wise. I believe it recenters the screen. So you can look around and you can examine in detail the elevation, rainfall, and the rockiness, as well as the coordinates. Let's click on, when we click on this, since there are 3 units there, it brings up a dialog box asking us what should we click. I want to use the scout rover, and we can see details about him right here. In the menu, we've got a lot of options. The scenario and edit map, for example, aren't available to us right now because we're not in scenario mode. Like we can't change this at all at the moment, which is fine with me. Terraformer is not available to us because we're not a terraformer. Actions. This is the actions that this guy can take. Every unit has its own actions, though some are common to all actions, such as these right here. But the bases, like the colony pods, have additional actions, and so do the terraformers. Map, we can place landmarks, we can find things. Centering screen, there you go. You can look at the map, you can zoom in and out. You can look at a standard zoom in or full zoom in and out. So if you don't like the screen, if you want to see more, you can zoom in and out, or if you, whatever. This is the most important one, toggle flatten terrain. So I'll click that and whoa, look at that. Immediately, now all of a sudden you see that we're like on the side of a mountain or in a valley really. All of a sudden the grid deforms to give the illusion of these mountains. And the hotkey for this, as you saw, was Control-Shift-X. So I'm going to hit Control-Shift-X and make it flat again. And now it's unflat. The non-flat is cool because, it gives you a sense of, oh yeah, I'm on mountains and all that. But it's hard to see squares, especially ones back here on the backside of the mountains and stuff. So by keeping your terrain flat, you can easily see the world you're on without getting it, all distorted and stuff. And if you want to know elevation stuff, you can always just look down here or just hit Control-Shift-X and go, okay, that's right. So using this, we can see there's more mountains up here. Looks like there's some flatlands down here. It might be just flatter areas. It could be water. I don't think there's any water up this way though. We might not have a port in this game, or at least not one to start off with. Let's flatten again. The last thing to show you in the menu is the preferences. There are lots of these, so you might want to look through them. I always turn tutorial messages off. Most of these, however, I leave alone. Pause at the end of turn is something I consider very, very important. Advanced preferences, confirm odds before attacking. That's the one I look at. But again, you can take a look at all of these. There's just so many things you can do. Warning is, these preferences come up, well, warnings come up when something happens. Like if nutrients get low at a base, something will happen and a little box will come at the beginning of the term and say, hey, nutrients are low over at Sparta Command. And you'll be like, oh, I better do something about that. Or if, Bunker 3 has built a, new thing, then you can be like, oh, Bunker 3 has built a box. Would you like to go see it? And you're like, yes, I need to see the box. Automation, if you're, things are just running around on their own, this is some of the automation preferences. Mostly it's just what can the formers build and where can you move. Audio-visual preferences, which is the first time I've said that correctly. You can do a lot here with with what you can see, like map animations. You can see the monuments, interludes. Mostly these are gameplay things, like story stuff. Do you want to see the movies? Do you just want to move along? This is important. Keep this clicked so that if there is a voiceover and you're tired of hearing it, you can stop it by closing the pop-up. Map preferences is the other really important one. Fog of War, if you don't know what that is, that's, well, if I toggle Fog of War on, there. All of a sudden this is grayed out. Basically, it's mapped out, and I kind of know what it is. I know it's there. I know that there's, I've done the survey, but if there were stuff here, like let's say there were like monsters right in here, and the monsters here are called mindworms, I wouldn't know they're there because this rover, well, none of the units here can see into that Fog of War. So the game already has something in that it takes. You'll see more of that later. Map grid, I keep that always on. Fog of War, I generally keep off. These are the things I always keep on, and like I said, flattened terrain. So that's all of the preferences and menu options. Let's actually start playing a little bit. Now, remember I have that flexible start thing. So let's show movement. I can move again with the numpad, and I can go like over this way. No reason, but I want to. And now, since this guy has 2 moves, let's use one of those moves to investigate the supply pod things. It's always good to do that with a military unit, just in case monsters are inside. So let's hit 9 and go up there.
Energy resources.
Hey, look at that. So now, if we move cursor there, you'll see we have this little yellow ball, and that represents energy bonuses. So if your base includes this square, and you put, energy things, energy collecting stuff there, you can get stuff from the base, get extra energy from that square, even though the elevation is really low, so normally you wouldn't, but this means you'll get a lot more. The rover's little flag now, each unit has a color to it, the flag has a color to it, I should say, just like in Civilization. My color is black for the Spartans, which I think looks great. The other color is kind of, I don't know. I think it looks great. I like this. But it's grayed out right here. That represents that it's done. He can't do anything. I can give him orders for next turn. Like I can say, I can see now he's activated, but I can say next turn I want you to move over here. And so this is the mouse movement option. You'll see it's kind of pathing. Like it goes around the fungus there. But if I move too far away, it just goes straight through because it doesn't really know it's over there. It can't make a good path. So, but I don't want it to do any of that. Oh, see, now it's a G because it thinks I do want it to go somewhere. So on its next turn, it's going to do that. I want to activate that guy, and I want to cancel orders. Now I'm going to come over here, activate a colony pod, and this guy is going to go this way. And this guy, he'll go this way.
Turn complete.
And now my turn is complete. Now if I didn't want them to move, I could hit the space bar to make them not move at all that turn, although I could still activate them at the end, because as long as they haven't moved, they can be activated. Or I could say, you know what, I want you to wait until the end of the turn. At turn complete, you can either click the button, or you can hit enter to move on to the next turn. So I moved on to the next turn now. And now this guy is ready to go. Now, maybe I don't want to move him right away. I could click on a different unit, and as long as there's only one unit there, it automatically goes to that one. Or I could use the wait command. I could hit W, and now the game won't come back to that until the very end of the turn. On the other hand, I might want, let's say I want this guy to stay where he is. I don't know what's up there. Maybe I want him to stay there. I can hit the space bar, and that way he'll wait. Now, if I click on him again, it says already moved, so darn it. I told him to wait. If you're not sure about something, use the W key and you can come back to it. This time I've told him to wait, so, I've tried moving him and it says that unit has already moved this turn. That's one of the messages that can come up if you click here on the M, show events which have occurred this turn. that's, well, it shows how things had happened. So, this guy, what should you do? Well, his big thing is exploration. So, we need to find a spot for the base, which really means this guy needs to help out. He has 2 moves, so let's use those moves. And now he's moved, so we come back to this guy, who's somewhere. Now, I could open this thing, but I'm not really sure I want to. I'd rather explore my immediate area.
Complete.
A turn complete. I'm going to hit enter again, and it's the 3rd turn. Now, I don't want to spend forever searching for a base. I need to set down roots very quickly. So, in the next turn or two, this guy or this guy, whichever one finds a better spot, is going to do it. And it's actually probably going to be this guy because he's closer to these energy resources, and he's going to be closer to these nutrients. I really wish I had a river nearby, but, you know, I don't. Oh, look, I do. And, hey, look, there's a port there. So maybe this guy will settle down by the port, and this guy can come over here. In the meantime, the rover is going to just explore this area a little bit. Found another river, so I have to think about this one. Now, I could try moving up here. This square, however, is going to be hard to move in because of fungus. Just like this square is going to be hard to move in because it's rocky. However, even if I don't succeed at the movement, and I probably won't, I can still get information about what's over there. So I'm going to hit 6.
Turn complete.
Hey, look, I did move. I wasn't sure I would. Sometimes it just has your unit try to move and fail. So, but now I know what's up here. And I'm also in fungus, which is not a great place to be. But I need to be here. So, last thing I'll do here is I'll move this guy down. Okay, so now we've got a pretty decent picture of the world. We know that there's going to be some sort of body of water down there because rivers flow downhill to bodies of water. We know that there's energy resources here. As long as we keep this colony pod, build the base within this strip, then we can pretty much see everything that we've got. Building them here may not be the best idea, but you know what? We're already 4 turns behind everyone else in the world. So we gotta set that, settle roots somewhere. As a rule of thumb, a good base is full of balanced resources. Man, that's hard to say. As a good rule of thumb, a good base is full of balanced resources. It doesn't even sound good. Point is that right here gives us some access to farming areas. It gives us this thing right here. We've got some rocky spots, and rocky spots are good for mines. So we have those 2. This one, we don't have that one. Now, the elevation's not very high. So the square that we're on right now, it's very low elevation. It's rolling and moist. So we'll get some nutrients from the square and some minerals, but not a whole lot of energy. If we were to put our guy here or there, well, it basically can't be built on rocky squares, so it wouldn't work there. But if we were to put our guy here, we'd get a few more nutrients. If we were to move down here, same thing, because those areas are dark green, and that dark green means rainy. This kind of middling green means it's moist, which I suppose is temperate, and this obviously is arid or dry. I don't need a base right there. Higher elevation means more energy, etc., but this is a good spot. I'm happy with this, so let's stop bibbling and babbling, and let's hit B for base. Enter a name for your new base. Again, you could call it, the TARDIS or, Canterlot. I really want to see somebody build a pony faction, but I'll leave it at Sparta Command. Hit OK, and ta-da! This is the monument. You'll see in mission year 2104, I found Sparta Command, the first Spartan base since Planetfall. Lady Deirdre of the Gaians founded mankind's first base since Planetfall in mission year 2101. So if you're not the very first to do something, this game will let you know. And it's like, neener, 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 you didn't do it first. But it still celebrates your first. Now, the only way to actually get mankind's first base is to be Deirdre and hit the B key on your first turn. If you don't, then the next person down the list will. That's the only way to do it. That's the way the game does it. So pretty much, you're never going to get the mankind's first base. Sorry. But this is what it might look like. Maybe. You can hit back. This is, by the way, an enormous monument. Look at the stairs, and then just look at everything else. This thing is huge. Back just steps you back from this place, and this thing is just like enormously big. There, as you get more accomplishments, the monument will get bigger and bigger and bigger, and you'll see more things. Yay! Sparta Command founded. Yay, here's the base screen. Oh my god, so much stuff. We are not going to develop everything today to discuss the space screen. There's a lot to discuss, and we don't need to do everything. But basically, this is where you do your auto stuff. This tells you information about the base, what's in it, as do these screens. Some basic information down there. Trade. Here's how energy is being used. There's a lot going on there. Tells you about growing. These tell you your resources, and this is where you choose where your resources are. Or you can just have it just work, which I don't want to do. Down here is where you decide on items. Down here is where you commit atrocities, and down here is where you see what forces you have supported. This shows you what units are in there. So right now I probably want a scout patrol, but I could come in here and I could say, no, I want you to build me another rover or something. This screen will tell you what you can build and how long it takes to build. I will explain more about this in the next video. For now, it gives you some idea on how this works. It goes in the queue and, well, yeah. The help menu we'll talk about another time as well. We're already running like a really long video. So we have a base. That's probably the best square, or we could use that one. It doesn't really matter. Notice we can't get anything from fungus, so we'll just leave it right there. This guy is going to come down here and take a look at this area and turn complete. So here's what I can tell right now. I can tell that there's an isthmus that I could have a unit cross. Land that goes that way a little bit. There's definitely some land down here. This is not a major port, so maybe this isn't worth building on. I'll have to have this guy explore a little more. This creature, this rover, is going probably will look down here a little bit since he's already facing that direction, and he's going to start getting these things. And that's going to be where we end today. Tomorrow, we are going to look into these things right here. We're going to explore around and have a good time with this. This guy will produce his first scout patrol, and it'll be a great fun. So, until next time, everyone, see you later.